Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Standard. I'm Steve. Zach is my partner. And in the middle today, we have a very special guest that drove down from Greensboro, North Carolina. Good friend of mine and Zach's, Anthony Williams, commonly known on Instagram as @TonyDrawco. You guys will know he is a big Opus fan, a lot of Opus and pairing postings, especially from his beach house. So it's great to have him here. And because we have such a special guest today, I broke out the Cuban hat today. So Tony, welcome to Rayford, North Carolina. Welcome to the podcast. We appreciate you taking time coming down, bro.
No, I'm so excited, man. I'm so happy to be here.
So real quick, what are we smoking today? I myself am smoking the Gran Habano Gran Reserva 2010. I gifted Tony something I know he has not smoked before, but Tony and Zach and I all pretty much have the same palates. So I gifted Tony a cigar I picked up from the Miami Cigar Festival from Esencia Tabacalera called Hierba Santa. And it's a great Dominican cigar with a San Andreas wrapper, super full of flavor. I'm going to see how Tony likes it. We'll check in with him once we get him lit up today. And
Smoking a Tabanera. It's Ybor City. Can't remember the kid's name, but walked us through their humidor. Everything is their own cigar. They don't sell anything out of house. This is a special edition, the Nero. Uh, the kids sold it better than any other cigar, so we picked up a handful of some things and super excited to smoke this. Supposed to be all chocolate, so we'll find that out.
And that's one of the things that Zach and I have been on this journey. We've smoked so many cigars for so long, and Tony, the same goes for you.
Oh yeah.
So today we literally have 3 cigars from 3 manufacturers that none of us have ever smoked before, ever. So that's good. That's always a cool thing to do. Again, that's the cigar culture. It's like, hey, let's sit down with some guys and let's pull out some cigars that we haven't ever smoked before. We'll talk about that. We do have some questions that we're going to get through with Tony because we are going to love to highlight what Tony's got going on. Like I said, if you're on Instagram and you're following any kind of cigar accounts, I guarantee you Tony Drawco has come up in your suggested people. So if you're not following him, please go out and follow @Tony Drawco. Got a lot of great stuff out there. He's big in the pairing thing. And we're really happy to have Tony down here hanging out with us. So gents, let's get these things lit up and let's get into topics of the day.
All right.
I stand by my statement.
What's that?
A lot of earth, dirt, and a lot of nuts coming off of this right off the rip.
Yeah.
And again, I think that lends itself to the Corojo wrapper.
Yeah.
You hit it on the nose with this one. A lot of coffee, a lot of richness, very smooth, subtle.
And there again, that's a Dominican binder filler wrapped in that Mexican San Andres. So you know what San Andres brings to the table every time. And then whatever you want to wrap it around, it's kind of hard to mess that up, honestly, in my opinion. Now, can you? Sure, from a lack of aging standpoint, potentially, if you're running cigars to the market too soon. But other than that, I love that.
No, it's a fantastic cigar. So draw is very smooth.
Wait till you retrohale that.
The more I've opened my eyes and I actually paid attention, I'm seeing San Andreas wrappers everywhere. Because, like you said, you know what to expect every time. You're like, oh, San Andreas, yep. And you can put anything in there, like all Nicaraguans, 4 regions of Nicaragua, whatever. Like,
So for me, and the San Andres wrapper, or if it's used as a binder, when you look at that, what it's blended with, for me, it's almost like it's in a category, like it lives in the gray. So you could be a hardcore Nicaraguan and you're all about the spice. And again, that's a specific spice. We're talking that's your black peppers and your earthier spices. Sometimes even your vegetable spices, like some of your chilies and things of that nature.
okay.
And then there's the different regions. Okay, so Jalapa, Esteli, Nicaragua, Condega, they're Ometepe. They're bringing different vibes to the table of the same concept, though.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go ultra smooth Dominican puros. Now again, can you spice those up 100%? But the spice you're getting from there is going to be your baking spices, your cinnamons, nutmegs, allspices, things of that nature, right? There's Honduran and Costa Rican. I call those like bright. And I also forewarned Cigars Daily. So shout out to the Cigars Daily team, Tim Swanson, and specifically Terrence, because Terrence gave a flavor note on a review that I commented on Instagram. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna let you know, you better trademark this because I'm gonna borrow it like real fast. Well, here's the time to borrow it. So Costa Rican Honduran tobacco, I think, is also making a huge push right now. As a matter of fact, I just saw an article yesterday. In fact, it was Cigars Daily, as a matter of fact. So back, another shout out to them. They had just put out this interesting article that Honduran has passed the Dominican Republic
Really?
Oh,
as
wow.
far as like popularity and like sale. There was some other information in there. But again, back to, so those flavor notes, florality. That's what Terrence called. He called it florality. Okay, you could call it bright, but it's a much more like very evident note that is almost refreshing in your mouth to a certain extent. And then you mix in the tobacco earthiness of those regions anyway, because again, in my opinion, Honduran and Costa Rican tobacco is still going to have a lot of earth to it. But you're also getting into the nougaties and the nuts and the toasty breads and things of that nature. So yeah, but yeah, that's what I really loved about that cigar.
No, it's
And I know, in fact, you're smoking the first one of the I haven't even smoked those yet.
Yeah, we haven't smoked any of their cigars
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. So you're cranking the first one out of our box that we got.
It's kind of shocking me
Yeah.
because this doesn't taste like a cigar. It tastes way more like pipe tobacco than any cigar I've ever smoked. Now, I've smoked like the CAO Stokes. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what else. But I've smoked a handful of cigars with pipe tobacco in them.
okay.
But that like chocolatiness is very pipe tobacco-esque. It's much richer and a little more sweet than what like chocolate typically means in a cigar. So it's blowing my mind already. Now, of course, I'm only an eighth of an inch in. But
So we'll get into the debate of our bonus question down there.
Yeah.
But on the highly debated between you and I flavor wheel, are you talking? So you talk about chocolates.
Yeah.
You got like your milk chocolate.
Yep.
You got your darker chocolate, which is going to have a little bit of a bitter, but it's still going to have depth to it. And then you got like cacao.
This is like cocoa nibs.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I think this is more like cacao, really. Honestly, it's blowing my mind actually. And you know that, like, because I'm a big Opus guy, but again, trying to broaden my horizon of trying other companies and trying different cigars.
Because I was going to hit you with that. Like we were just in the kitchen
Yep.
pouring our coffee,
Yep.
and you said those exact things. I'm like, oh, okay, here's a couple cigars that you need to try. Because look, and in no way, shape, or form are the three of us ever going to engage anybody in a legacy versus boutique versus craft debate. Because in my opinion, there's really no debate to be had. And the only debate you're really going to have is, fiscal leverage, marketing strategies, growing regions, like how big are your farms, and things of that nature. So from a quality of tobacco and cigar construction and the flavor you're going to get out of it, the playing field's been leveled. And it's probably been leveled, I would say, for a while now. But yes, can you spark a debate in the lounge and can you push somebody's buttons?
Absolutely.
If you want to get into the legacy boutique debate and the hardcore hardliners, like I only buy this cigar, but buying it for 20 years, awesome for you. But I can assure you, this cigar right here is equal in experience. And that's what we always talk about at the cigar lounges, is we're there for the experience.
It's not about only the labels, and I hate when
Yeah.
you go to certain lounges and it's like, hey, I got this label, I got that label, and it's the status. For me, it's I enjoy the cigar, I enjoy the construction, I enjoy seeing every time I buy the cigar, it's not gonna just the wrapper's gonna frail or it's gonna go tunnel or something like that. You know, it's all about enjoying it, sitting down, quiet mind, having some coffee, being with a bunch of guys that you're friends with, and enjoying it and sparking conversation. And that's why I love trying to go to different lounges and you know meet new people. And that's exactly how we met.
Yep.
We were going to a Fuente event, which I always wanted to go to. And we sparked a conversation, and we've always stayed in touch, and we've become great friends over this. It brings people together. Um, you know, any walk of life, you could be a janitor, you could be, a billionaire, a millionaire. You all can just cherish, a cigar and sit down and have a great conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we call it, the vessel to bring all
Yeah.
people together.
Oh, and we
It's
need more of it. We
yeah,
definitely do.
well, you know, and that goes back into, in fact, you and I have talked about it again for quite some time. And Zach and I have also mentioned, he and I have been cocktailing podcast ideas for shoot a couple of years before we ever pulled the trigger and started buying equipment and like putting it together. And even since you and I met at the Fuente event at Anstead's there in Fayetteville. But yeah, that's the big thing is like cigar culture. You can make it whatever you want. You could personalize it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But cigar culture, if you look back to, again, Taino history, and how it was used by the indigenous population in the Caribbean, and what it means to the Cuban, people and their tradition. I mean, and oh, by the way, make no mistake, the first mass produced cigars were in Spain, like an actual cigar factory, like they were jamming out, multiple cigars at a time. So, when you look at the different cultures that cigars actually were smoked and created and how they were used in their society, it's all relatively the same thing. Medicinal, again, the cohiba, the gathering, and it's so it make no mistake. That, however, is something that personalization, is not going to touch. That is what it is. And we implement it into our lives however we want to do that thing. I will tell you, so, working around the table with our cigars, this Grand Habano, which shout out to Uncle Paulie 66 at Patriot Cigars. When we were down there visiting Zach and I on Wednesday, we made quite a haul, and I made an especially big purchase of Grand Habano based on my discussions with Uncle Paulie 66 on how amazing the Grand Habano is. And this cigar, I've already mentioned that on the nose and on the first draw, I got a lot of earth and I got a lot of nuts, right? I smell the earth in the aroma.
Yeah.
Like I smell like we're walking down a trail and there's like some light dew and you can smell like a freshly cultivated field or big chocolatey dirt across hundreds of acres. That's what I'm getting off of this. It's amazing. I love that. I love that profile. I love that smell.
'Cause that's what Andy was saying, right? Because you had brought up the Amazon basin, big fan. But it's that like wet rainforest, dark earth, right? He said, nope, rethink what you think of, like when you say earthy or soil,
Mhm.
rethink what you think because this is a dry, this takes you back to your childhood. It's, playing with your friends, you get a little tired, you sit down on the ground, put your back against a tree, close your eyes, and you smell the
Yeah.
wood line that you're in. Would you say that's a pretty fair comparison
Yeah,
so
definitely.
far?
Yeah. This is absolutely like if again, that trail I described,
Yeah.
and I sat down and took a break and I just closed my eyes and I could just smell the actual like mineral content of the dirt,
Yeah.
of the soil. You know what I mean? Like this aroma is amazing. Like every time I put it up to my nose, the first thing that hits me is the earthy profile.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's a great cigar. It's a great draw, great burn. So yeah, this is awesome.
I wish I could smell it, but all I have is chocolate and cedar over here. Name a better pairing, chocolate and cedar.
So moving on from that,
Mhm.
but much like we talked about, because you tapped on a couple things. So now that Zach and I've got you in studio, we got you on camera, we're not text messaging and DMing no more. So your cigar journey, because you're not from North Carolina originally.
I'm not. So I was born and raised in New Jersey, Essex County to be exact. And when I was going to school, just started college, got interested in cigars. I've noticed a couple of guys when I go to the park, they're sitting down, they're relaxing, they got a coffee, and just the aroma hit me. And I was like, I kind of interested in that, I want to, try it out. So I found my first brick and mortar and I did it a little bit backwards, which I always tell people is I was like, I went in and didn't really know much. And I was like, hey, here's some money. Give me a bunch of cigars. And ended up one of them being an Opus X. Um, and this my cigar journey's just grown from then, going to meet new people, trying out different cigars. I just fell in love with the journey of going and hunting for them because obviously, opuses can be a little bit hard to get. Um, but just falling in love with, you know, how it's made by hand. It's not a machine that makes these, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's somebody that takes their time and rolls it and, gets the filler, the aging process. We've discussed this about you having your tobacco license of understanding so much more what goes into actually growing this in the process because it's a labor of love. It's not rushed. It's not, mass produced at this high rate. There's somebody sitting at a table taking their time and they're rolling these and letting them age and just it's magical if anything.
It is. And when if anybody's ever had the opportunity to watch somebody roll a cigar, even if you're at the wedding reception where they brought in the cigar roller for somewhat of the entertainment value. But when you sit there and watch them, they're picking the right amount of their fillers and they have to be bunched a certain way. The binder leaf, there's that. The wrapper leaf, left hand roll, right hand roll, all that goes into it. Well, at the factories, when you, from what you talked about just now and described, you know, their actual focus is like laser because they have it's their little table is all laid out. And I would argue that if you went in there one day, just moved one thing and didn't tell them, and they sat down and started going there, probably it like just would mess the whole deal up.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
like they're so rhythmic and everything goes on with how this thing comes together. And now, mind you, before it ever gets to their table, all of the people that deveined it and inspected it, classified it, bundled it, put it here, there, in this factory warehouse, is the temperature, all of the enablers, shall we call it, that go into before it ever gets to the cigar roller, again, is just, it's something that I don't even see how, this is a bold statement potentially, but I don't even see how you could modernize that, or why would you?
Yeah, I mean, with AI, probably anything's possible, but yeah, what's the point? I mean, think about how much money they'd have to spend to change the infrastructure of the entire system, and then it would just turn people off. Like, what's the point? But that exactly what you're saying though is what makes Opus X like Fuente so hard for my brain to wrap around. It's almost like BMW like car numbers, like a 330 and this or whatever, but like the Lost Cities, right? Is tobacco. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. Tobacco that was grown out of season for the filming of Lost City.
Correct.
Yep.
So there's only so much of that tobacco. Now they're slapping it on a lot of cigars and shipping them out in these beautiful enamel boxes. But then you have something like the Angel Share, right? Which is an extra aged specialty wrapper that has Opus tobacco in there and some other stuff. And then you have, what is it, the Fox 13s or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the Fuente Opus
Yep.
X13s. Yep.
Yeah. And you're like, so a lot of these all share the same tobacco. It's just in what orientation are they and where are they pulling and what are they doing to wrappers. I every time I look at the box, I like fall in love with the artwork.
Oh, absolutely.
But then I'm like, I don't know what any of this crap means.
So I think so. Listening to what you just described took me to a thought. When you talk about, a lot of people don't think, and I could be totally wrong. And by all means, if I am, audience, please comment on the video when you hear this. I don't necessarily think that people associate innovation with cigars.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be some people who are like, oh, what are you talking about? That's how we got boutiques. Okay, that's not what I mean. Using what you just described. So, for example, the Lost City. You had to, first of all, so you made an agreement, you came up with this idea, and you did it. So, risk number one, you grew tobacco out of season for this thing. Before you ever planted that seed to do that thing, like there had to be a massive amount of forethought, like to plan that out to be sure it worked. And then when you talk about all of the opuses that are out there, okay, and I say that like there's a ton of them. I mean, the different names within the opus framework, okay? Because there's not a ton of them, or else we'd all have them.
Yeah.
There's that. But so when you think of all that's out there, like again, the forethought for these blends, how long has Carlito or anybody in that department, and you could actually say this for Rocky Patel, Oliva, Perdomo, take your pick, are they thinking ahead on a project, the name of it, the branding, like you talk about the boxes, tobacco, do we already possess it? What's the age? Do we need to grow it? And then how long is that? Like you're just not slapping these bad. You're just again, you're not just slapping an opus together and slinging it out there. Like
Yeah.
there's a massive amount of stuff that goes into that.
I think he thinks about it honestly, and he's always preparing. I've noticed that about Opus. They're always innovating new things. Um, and his son is starting to get into really heavy into the business. Um, no, shout out to him. But they're always when they had the what is it, the PCA,
Yeah.
they just rolled out a whole bunch of new opuses.
Not only that, also when I was down in Miami, they just got done in March with the Great Smoke. And he rolled out the other opus, The Greatest Show on Earth, I think it was called.
Yeah.
That's now starting to hit the market.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the interesting thing. Like what I said, a lot of these cigars share the same tobaccos. It's just different orientations of it. So is it truly hard for them to make a new opus? Probably not, because it's all excellent tobacco, and it's just they're smoking on 100 of one cigar, and oh, I would love it if it had a little more sweetness in it. So then they figure out what tobacco do we have, because the Angel Share, I think, is the rarest and oldest tobacco in the vault. So to make that tobacco obviously has gone in many other opuses and lost cities and whatever. But then they go, well, what happens if we take all of our oldest tobacco, oldest wrappers, oldest binders, oldest fillers, and put them together? What does it taste like? And then just kind of tweak those little things. So the creativity and the genius is there. But I imagine it's not that difficult when your tobacco is just that damn good. So
I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, basically you're just putting, you're putting spinners on the Ferrari.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you already got it.
Yeah.
So
But he's a genius though too, and
Yeah.
you got to talk about the Vitolas, like the
Oh,
different
yeah.
shapes. Like who thinks of these things?
Yeah.
I haven't found a company that has innovated like that before.
And and I've posted this several times, and myself, my good friend Mike Bolness, shout out to Mike Bolness down in Miami, Carlito's BFF, who's kind of opened some doors to me into that world personally with relationships. But Rogue Cigars and I, again, shout out at Rogue Cigars, just graduated from Villanova. Congratulations, brother. Heading off to law school, which, real quick, to the Philly point, like, he's gonna, like, we might connect up and like we could really like do a trio of people if he's up there. But
I'm
just
down
throw that
for
out
it.
there. But the Shark, one of my all-time favorite Fuente cigars, hands down. I will fight you to the death on this topic. Is the number 77 Shark Vitola.
You can't beat it.
It's primarily in the Don Carlos line. They've got it in Yeho. Okay, I got it. The reason why, and actually somebody else, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, another shout out, Bourbon Cigar Whisperer, he and I got in this conversation real quick on social media. That Vitola, because of its shape, that literal square foot, you can't just start toasting it all willy-nilly. Like, you're ruining it.
Yeah.
Like, that cigar Vitola, actually, I've learned now, because again, like I said, Bourbon Cigar Whisperer Don, he opened my eyes to it. There's a level of patience to literally even smoking that cigar because of the Vitola, which just brings a whole new appreciation and experience to the cigar, you know? And so then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So even to this now, when I pick up a Shark, I'm like, all right, I'm toasting. I'm like watching it. I'm like, all right, not too hot. I'm like, all right, puff on, like, nice draws, easy. And what I'm learning is, I was having a little trouble with the burn line when I first started smoking the Sharks.
Okay.
Now I kind of got it ironed out, because it takes patience and it takes attention. Like, a lot of people would, again, nothing wrong with this. Okay. It's just a topic that we're discussing in our lounge. But you will find in lounges, you will find anywhere, golf courses, take your pick. People just pick up cigars. It's the one they've always smoked for years and years. Just boom, light it, rip it, bam. They're and no real thought. Like, they're not actually paying attention to the cigar. And that's what the Shark has done for me, which makes it even more, you're never going to get me off that X. Like, that is, like I said, hands down. Like, I'll fight you to the death on that. Now, when I light up a Shark, I'm like, it's got to be the right time. It's got to be the right setting. I'm in my patience and enjoying that cigar in every puff. And I'm like checking it out. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all about. But so, yeah, it's,
And for me too, I love pairings. Everybody sees on my Instagram, I'm always trying to create the perfect pairing with a cigar. And I love bourbon, you know. It's always been a thing for me. So trying like maybe like Angel's Envy, or, maybe some Blatins with it. But it takes you to just slow down, take your time and enjoy the cigar. Our life could be so hectic, everything's on a fast pace. You got to do this, you got to do that. But when you sit down like this, like we are right now, and you take your time, and it it's pure joy. It makes you just slow down. Well, help me out with this,
well,
because I'm trying to express to everybody,
Well, so that brings my brain back to our interview question. Are you a like are you an emotional pairer, or are you trying to do it strategically? Are you looking at blends and trying to pair perfect things on flavor wheels, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's a combination of the two. And then also, I try to smoke a cigar every day, maybe twice if I can fit it in. But it just helps settle you down and just, slow down. What are you tasting the bourbon? What are you tasting in the cigar? How they're interacting with each other. Um, just what can I say? It's just something that just just smooth, kind of mellow you out.
So I'm going to use the word intentional.
Okay.
Okay. And real quick, back to the shark. The shark, when I pick up a shark and that Vitola, that now makes me a very intentional smoker at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Then that doesn't ruin the experience for me. It isn't like it's work. It's actually more of the admiration of the beauty of that Vitola and the craftsmanship that it took to make that cigar. So I am going to give it its respect. I am going to pay homage while I enjoy this cigar. To your point, from the intentionality of it all, and you make a point to smoke one cigar a day, and you have that time. So that's kind of a question that's been batted around online here recently in certain circles.
Mhm.
What does cigars mean to you, whomever that discussion was with? When I sit down and smoke a cigar, even if it's at 12 noon, okay, and the dogs are out running around, I try to, multitask. They need their outside time. I'm still going to sit down. I'm not going to turn on, I'm not going to watch anything on my phone. I'm not going to turn on the TV or do whatever. I'm going to smoke the cigar and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to the birds. I'm going to reflect because, again, by 12 o'clock noon, depending on, what kind of a life you live and work, you work,
Yeah.
you've got, you've been in court doing the whole thievery thing with the shoplifters or whatever. You sit down and smoke that cigar in the evening. It's a time for reflection, intentionally. So you are intentionally turning the noise down and you are purposefully bringing in the calm and whatever that calm is for you. Again, I have the blessing of where I live. When I smoke my cigar in the evening and the sun goes down and it gets really super quiet, I can hear the horses snorting in the different properties around here, swishing their tails, or I can hear the deer I can't see them, but I hear them rummaging over there in the field next to my fence, you know? And so that's how I bring the calm in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which goes back to when, we're talking about the sitting on the trail, just leaning up against a tree and smelling the aroma of your surroundings. So I think that's, obviously that's going to be super personalized and individual to each person.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like you were talking about, same, it seems like relative same to you. Now, what do we add to that experience? Okay, well, while we're reflecting and while we're being intentional in our calming moment, we're going to enjoy a spirit and a cigar.
Yeah, absolutely.
What makes the spirit and the cigar better? The noise is blocked out. My palate and my brain now can act together and I can really experience the profile. If you're smoking in a hurry, you got a bunch of other stuff on your mind, blah, 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 blah. It's very, very hard to really pick out flavor notes of your spirit and your cigar because your brain is not engaged in that thing. Now, there is something to be said for, well, how do you really know what I am tasting and what I'm experiencing? That's where the flavor wheel comes in. Flavor wheel is not the gospel. It's just guidance. It's like the pirate's code. But it gives people verbiage for them to articulate what they think their mouth is telling them. That's how I treat it. That's why I introduce it to beginners. And on that note, when we were at Patriot Cigar Lounge, remember the cigar he gave us when we were leaving that he gifted us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mind went to it like 5 minutes ago, and then I forgot it.
Yep. So, again, shout out to Patriot Cigar Lounge in Calabash, North Carolina. The owner, Andy, and his son, Connor, and Paul, Uncle Paulie, 66. So Andy was gracious enough to gift Zach and I his only two Sans Purée Blues. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, what did he just say? Sans Purée is not necessarily out there commonly spoken and smoked in the cigar culture. But if you know, kind of a deal. How did I learn about Sans Purée? I was watching a podcast and they are super, super supportive and they know the owners very well and they smoke a lot of Sans Purée on the podcast. So I started researching it. And I just came to the conclusion that Sans Purée, You're only going to find it if you're in Florida, in specific parts of Florida. Turns out Zach found a website that I'd never even heard of that they sell sans spray online. And that's awesome. My point being is Andy told us specifically, because I think he smoked one at PCA.
Yeah.
There was the story. He's like, hey, when you guys smoke this cigar, you need to sit down, be uninterrupted, and you need to pay attention because this cigar is going to transition and the flavors are going to be specific. And he's like, if you pay attention to this and smoke it intentionally, you are going to enjoy something that, quite honestly, he hadn't even really experienced in all of his cigar smoking.
The funny thing is, this thing is like a 4.25 by 48.
It's a
Like,
petite Corona.
it's literally the size
Yeah.
of my index
Yeah.
finger.
The
right?
band is
I think
2/3.
it's even smaller than a petite Corona.
Yeah.
Really?
But
The band is 2/3 of the cigar.
yeah, yeah. But he said the thing's like you light it and it transitions, and then it transitions,
Mhm.
and it doesn't stop transitioning. He's like, every time you puff on that thing, it's a different story, and you have to listen.
Yeah.
And he goes, if any, like, you can't smoke it sitting around near anybody because they're gonna start talking to you.
Yep.
And he goes, you're gonna be halfway through it and go, I don't know what happened.
Yep. You're going to miss it.
Yeah.
So back to your point, when you sit down and enjoy that cigar at the end of the day with your pairing, the whole intentionality of that moment is to not miss it. Don't miss the moment, don't miss your cigar, and don't miss your spirit.
Nothing. You said it perfectly. I think people need to understand that and to really just block it out. Take time for yourself. Grab a stick. Have a great person by your side, like you guys, and just sit back. To your point, and just enjoy it. Life's short.
100%. Now, there's a caveat to that too, real quick. Cigars are highly celebratory as well. So are we smoking them at the wedding? Are we smoking them on the golf course? Are we smoking them at graduations, at wherever? 100%. And in no way, shape, or form am I specifically, I'll speak for myself, am I conveying to the audience that you have to smoke a cigar the way we're describing.
Yeah.
I would offer, if you really want to understand the cigar and the flavor profile and these wazoo words you've thrown out there, like transitioning and, and burn rates and all of these things and how it pairs with your spirit, the best way to do that is in the most calm, undistracted, unchaotic environment you could find. However, if the wedding reception you went to is lobbing out angel shares to the guests, by all means, get after it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do not turn that cigar down. And if you don't want to smoke it, just put it in your pocket, take it home.
Or bring it to us.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we'll smoke
yeah.
it.
Mail it to the smoking standard. We'll gladly take that. But again, that entire environment is not designed for you to sit there and like figure out a cigar. We're just partying. We're celebrating the bride and the groom, friends which we haven't maybe not seen in a while, college alums. Take your pick. And it just so happens we're doing it with an angel share, which is probably one of the most amazing cigars you can do that with, based on my hypothetical situation.
I think you're right.
But at the end of the day, if you really want to learn about tobacco, you really want to learn about your spirit, you really want to understand kind of like what your palate's telling you, the most calm, undistracted environment is the best way to do that. And as you become more experienced in that and you smoke your cigars that way, then you'll find when you're out in those environments, you're in the cigar lounge, 4 or 5 guys, you're in the golf cart, you light up a cigar for the first time before you tee off, like, damn, that's a great cigar. Like, you'll be able to pick it up a lot easier.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for, a little bit of practicing smoking a cigar. It's not something you just don't pick up on it.
Well, that's a great phrase. Practicing learning to smoke a cigar, or practicing learning flavors. Because I'm a big music guy. If I'm by myself, it's me, cigar, whiskey, music. I'm very rarely like try to find the silence, because there's a lot of other aspects in my life where I do that. Like, you go on the golf course and it's not a busy day. You're listening to birds, little squirrels chomping on acorns and stuff. I got plenty of wildlife sounds in my life, but one thing I can't replace from an emotional decision is music. Like, I have to have blues, jazz, country,
100%.
something.
I just did it last night, bro.
Yeah.
I literally just did it last night. So I was out here, did some quick business. I think I texted you some stuff.
Yeah.
And then turned on the speaker, put on my playlist. And for me, the music that was on that playlist was all about the memories that music get created for me. And I was enjoying said cigar, which said cigar was Andy's house blend Maduro
Yeah.
from Patriot Cigars.
Yeah. Well, I haven't smoked the Maduro, but
Yeah.
the Habano. Sick.
So even though it was a new cigar, seasoned smoker, I could get away with it. But even still, I was having great memories, high school memories. I mean, it was, old school 80s stuff, whatever the case may be, a little bit of this and that. But that entire moment was surrounded around that cigar.
Yeah.
That was my calm. That was my intentionality, And again, I was able to sit here and focus on it, smoke it, draw it, retrohale it, get the aroma. I was out there by myself. The music was low. It wasn't like, I wasn't having a concert in here by any stretch, So again, definitely what cigars mean to us. And I think for a lot of the people out there, so moving on from that, you had touched on pairings. You try to pair. Tough question.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to ask you a question that I don't even really like being asked.
Okay.
But for the sake of the topic, you're in the garage. So everything's optimal. Okay. Dogs are cool. They're in taking a nap. Dinner's done. House is done. You're good. Bam, you hit the garage lounge. What is your perfect pairing?
Ooh.
You know what? Let's not use perfect. Let's say optimal to create your moment.
Well, first, looking and see what we're smoking for the day or night. Obviously, it's an Opus. So I love the chateaus too. Depending on the Opus, I'm gonna go look and see what's on my little bourbon. I have a actual shelf now because I started collecting about, I would say, 6 months ago. Um, and I love Buffalo Trace. So I'm gonna go look for either one of my big favorites is I'm drawing a blank.
Talk about favorite opus?
No, drink. It's
Oh, okay.
Eagle Rare.
Eagle Rare. Thank you. It's just on my tongue. Couldn't get it. It was Eagle Rare. But getting a bottle of Eagle Rare, it's just such a complex. If you can find it, we live in North Carolina, so everything's regulated. So it's
Yep.
kind of a treasure hunt, just like Opuses. But Eagle Rare is just a very smooth, subtle, and it just enhances the cigar. It enhances, you just pick up so much notes from it. That leather, that, very smooth, peppery, and depending on what opus you have, it just, I don't know. It's a world pairing for me. But I'm always chasing for that new and something that's just gonna make me go, holy shit, this is just fantastic.
So have you tried when you're drinking? There's actually an order you should do it
Okay.
to get the best out of both.
Okay.
And that order is drink your spirit first, then take a pull off your cigar, let that smoke sit in there for a minute, and then go ahead and exhale. And that's when the flavor notes of that tobacco are going to mix with the flavor notes of that spirit, and you're going to get that experience. A lot of people just smoke and drink in whatever order, and that's fine. There's really only two ways to do it.
Yeah.
You puff and you drink, or you drink and you puff. But if you actually focus on the drink first and then the puff second, and then see how that reacts, and then do it the other way, and just to compare. Again, just a fact check.
So I'm gonna ask you guys a controversial question. What do you think about Arnold dipping his cigar in tequila?
Okay. This is the part where my brain's going, is my face doing something else? Is my face doing something else? Okay, look, a good friend of mine, 70, I think he's 74, 75 years old now. We talked about this at Patriot.
Yep.
You know what I'm about to say? Smokes Baccarats, loves them. Loves Baccarat Bellicoso. That's his jam. And he does the same thing. And I told him, I was like, look, in theory, are you going to taste the bourbon at the first few draws after that? Yes, you are. What you really are doing and this is just my opinion, which is why I don't do it. And again, to your point, I don't think there's an argument on either side, unless we want to sit here and do it ourselves and like figure it out, like have a science project. But I'm like, you're going to moisten the end of that cigar to the point that it's just going to unravel. I don't
I
care
agree.
what kind of cut you use. I don't care. Triple cap, it doesn't matter. But torpedo, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're gonna wet that end of your cigar to the point it will unravel, and it's only gonna take you to maybe just gnaw on it on accident a couple times, and it's a wrap. So why do you want to stick a soggy cigar in your mouth? So that's it for me. I don't think it at all provides any prolonged additional flavor to the cigar at all. I don't think it does.
No, I mean, I think it's a quick way to try to marry your cigar and your liquor, but I don't think that there's any level of impact really.
No.
Like it's the shortcut to what you said, right? Take a sip of your spirit, bring the smoke into your mouth,
Yeah.
let them marry in your mouth. You're just going, psh, marry, okay, here you go. But outside of if it ruins your cigar, that sucks, whatever. But like 3 minutes after you dip it in there, is it actually doing anything? No. So I don't care if you want to do it.
Yeah.
It's a wives' tale, I think.
Yeah.
It's somebody
Again.
once upon a time said, "Do you know how you ultimately mix spirit and smoke? By dipping it."
So
Do what you want.
counter question.
Mm-hmm.
If Arnold never did it and publicized it, would anybody even really have a debate?
No.
I mean, in our own little private circles, we would. But to my knowledge, and again, I spend a lot of time on the internet now that we've started this project, like, just kind of staying in the know and what's happening now. Other than Arnold, I don't really see any other celebrities that are 100% going online talking about dipping their cigar in their spirit. I haven't seen it.
So, have either of you seen people that fill their glass with smoke? They take a huge draw and they let it fall out of their mouth into the glass and pull away real slow, and it's a thick fog layer in there.
I will.
I don't think it does anything.
Yeah,
I don't think it does
and I will
anything.
reserve that reply for off camera because I have, and there's a specific way I'm going to present that to you.
Yeah.
We're just not going to do it right now. Yeah, 100%. Okay, same thing. Smoking your old fashioned. Am I really infusing my drink?
No.
I think aesthetically it just looks
And it's
really
awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I've messed with it when I was learning how to be a bartender because at the distillery I worked at, we only used our spirits.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants a Scotch cocktail, like a Godfather, for example, Scotch, amaretto, lemon. Well, we don't serve Scotch. Rye, I would say, is a gateway to Scotch.
Yeah.
Very earthy profile. If you really good rye. Okay. So if you smoke rye with a hickory or a walnut type of wood or something of that nature, it's very Scotch-esque for a minute, and then it goes away.
So, all right, think about smoking meat, right? What does the smoke actually bind to? Fat. Okay? There ain't no fat in your bourbon. There's no fat in your orange slice. So, will it stick to the surface? Yeah. Will it stick to the inside of the glass and stick to the cherry? Yeah. But it's not infusing into anything. It's not imparting smoke flavor inside of those pieces.
And I would offer, just like I was talking about the aroma that hits my nose, but when I'm putting this up to my face, a drink is the same way. Your nose is going to catch it way before your mouth does.
Yeah.
And so that aromatics of the smoking of those drinks, I think, is what is the biggest effect of doing that whole thing. And then it's all the aesthetics. And then there could be somebody at the other end of the bar going like, whoa, man, what's that guy doing down there? That's the coolest dude on the bar right now. Then there's that.
Yeah.
So like, whatever. You know, when it comes to smoking and drinking, honestly, hands down, the only way to categorize that is taste is personal, period, full stop. Who am I to tell you anything about what you're doing or why you're doing it?
Absolutely.
If you ask me, then that's your fault.
Yeah.
Because now I am going to tell you.
I might hurt your feelings.
Yeah. But I'm not going to just openly roll up in your personal space and start offering all my opinions
Yeah.
on what you're doing. It's not my place. Because you know what? You could be looking at me going like wondering what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. You know, what it all boils down to, again, that word experience. If that's what creates the experience for you, then rock with it.
Yeah.
Because that's the point, is the experience. It's the whole point.
Yeah.
So, hey, rock with what you got. Like, you're never going to get an argument out of me unless you ask me a question and then you want to argue. Then we'll have the argument. Other than that, cool, man. Hey, roll with what you got.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that is the whole point. It's the whole point. So I texted you this question yesterday, and I said, hey, be ready for it. Put you on the spot because you smoke a lot of it.
I do.
And that's kind of your shtick. But before we get into that, though, I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
So when we first met, we're kind of backtrack a little bit. When we first met, a little background on us. You know what? It's been so long now, I can't even remember what your Instagram handle used to be. But you rebranded. You came up with your little logo, Tony Draw Company, right? Tony Draw Co. On your Instagram. So where did that come from? Why and where you want it to go?
So I rebranded because I wanted it to have meaning and what I was doing on Instagram and show people, you know, the draw comes from just the draw from a cigar. And the co is, this is what I want it to be, like any big major brand has, Tiffany and Co and stuff like that, but I want it to have meaning and for people to realize, this is something I enjoy. This is something I love. I'm very passionate about cigars. We've talked about this all the time about, it's a way of life for us, It's not just something that we do. We talk about it pretty much all day long. We text back and forth. Zach, I'm sure you text all the time too about, hey, what cigar you having? How's your day going? And you feel so much better, when you have a cigar and you slow down things. We briefly went over that. Um, but where my vision is to go to events and for people to connect with you and to meet other people and to just, you know, I'm going with the flow, going with the wave. I eventually would love to, start doing more pairings and, with cigars and starting to host, you know, events and, um, going to places with you guys and meeting these owners. That's something I love. Every city or every time I'm, somewhere new, I always try to support smaller brick and mortar stores. Because you got to show them love too. You can't just show the big guy, all the support. And there's a small pop and shop, and you don't go there and hey, they might have the best cigar, you've ever smoked in your life and you don't know. So take your time to actually support them. Um, but yeah, I'm just having fun. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I want it to be a community where, hey, somebody reaches out to me and be like, hey, you've had this opus before or you've had this cigar before. Tell me what you like about it. What's your pairings that you use for it? And well, that's really about it for me.
Awesome. I mean, and there again, when you talk about like Zach and I's vision, is the same thing. You know, super fluid right now. We provide structure to it where we can because it needs to be, or else it's going to seem super disjointed and highly chaotic, and we don't want that not only on camera, but we don't want to be associated with that. Like we went to Patriot Cigar Lounge down in Calabash, North Carolina on Wednesday. in preparation. So hey, it's all about relationship building. Again, like Carlito says, it's not about cigars, it's about the people. We sat there and literally the owner and his son, even though they had customers and they still tended to the customers, but we literally were in this other little spot in the lounge. It basically was like his man cave, is what it looks like. And we literally just sat there and talked cigars the entire time.
Yeah.
What do you know? What do you think? He was giving, he actually mentored us a lot on our dream of owning a cigar lounge. He's saying, well, don't forget about this, this, and this. Super, like, generous with information and not acting like something needed to be gate kept or anything of that nature. So yeah, I mean, that's
The crazy thing was, we didn't tell him we were going down there. We went as a recon mission. Like, we're gonna roll in without somebody like rolling the red carpet and opening the door and dingling a bell. Like, we wanted to roll in. They didn't know that we were coming. They didn't know who we were. And it wasn't until like a couple minutes into conversation, you were like, "Oh, are you Connor? You're the owner's son?" He was like, "Oh, shoot, you're the Smoking Standard."
yeah.
And we're like, "Yeah." So like, we walked in incognito, saw how the regulars were in the morning, introduced ourselves, and all day long, he sat there and he could have looked at us like, "Why are you in my shop? Are you here to get some inside scoop? Are you gonna like be my competition?" Didn't care. Didn't matter.
Brother,
Because again,
we walked in there 1 hour after they opened at 10. They opened at 9. Walked in there, did the meet and greet, gave us a tour of the humidor, and Zach and I go like, oh man, like they got this, they got that. Like, where are? Smoked a cigar, took a break. We went and got lunch. He had lunch. Andy and Connor had lunch. We came back, smoked another cigar, bottle of cigars, the haul we made, and like we didn't leave there till like after 5.
yeah.
And we got there at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like it was just it literally, it was like we went over to a family gathering.
Yep.
You know, it was amazing. So bonus round. I saw this online. Okay. And Zach and I have had this discussion off camera numerous times. And again, I think it's a very fascinating debate. I saw it on the negative side. So I saw a meme, and the way the person did the meme is kind of like you know the movie The Office, or is it Office Space, whatever it is. And the
Office
guy's
Space.
like, he's like, what is it that you do? Okay. So that was kind of the whole gist of sommeliers. Like, what is it that you really do? And so I opened up the comments, and there was a ton of stuff. Oh, you know, I'm gonna sniff your cigar and stick it up to my nose. I'm gonna run it back and forth a couple times, and I'm gonna hand it to you, you know, and tell you all about it. Like there's all kinds of crazy stuff like that, right? So basically the whole gist was sommeliers, who gives a crap? So, fact or fiction? Sommeliers, fact or fiction? Go.
Oh man. I think it's I think it's fiction. Because everybody has a different opinion. But what it comes down to at the end of the day is, are you enjoying yourself? To me.
100%.
Are you enjoying yourself? You know? Are you having a good time? Are you learning something new? And that's in life, that's what we're here for. We want to learn. I want to learn. I talk to you all about that because you have expertise that I don't, and I'm learning more about. And broadening my horizon to cigars and you know, Zach, I'm sure you bring a lot of stuff too also, and it's just fucking enjoy yourself.
I'm with you.
What do you think?
Welcome to the dark side. No, we think a lot alike. I think it's very important for somebody to be able to like put a label, because a lot of manufacturers don't do it. They don't put on the box, or they don't make those little
Like table talkers.
yeah, that tell you like wrapper binder filler, here's tasting notes, here's like the nose notes and the mouth notes. If more brands did that, I would be happy. Like Apostate.
Yeah, Apostate. Yep.
They have like a slant nose box, and it has all of the info on the front of the box. Super freaking cool. I wish more people did it. But then you go on any manufacturer's website and it tells you all that stuff, right? Even especially boutiques, they do a great job of explaining it. But yeah, everybody's taste buds are different.
Yeah, everybody's tastes.
Everybody's emotions change day to day.
100%. 100%. So, where do you think that I get all of the stuff that you asked me about from?
I think you learn about it. I think that you go through and you talk to different people every day. Well, every time I talk to you, you're like, hey, I'm reaching out to this person, I'm reaching out to this person.
Yeah,
And you're just building a catalog
right.
of inventory of information.
But correct. I'm a sommelier. So I'm going to say fact, not because I'm guarding my own certificate. What I will tell you is everything you guys said is totally valid. Okay, up to a point, in my opinion. The reason why I think sommeliers are fact, the good ones, okay, is because of what you just said. I'm going to bring a knowledge base because I've learned how and where to research the information that I'm giving you. So yes, can you go Google whatever you want? 100%. Sommelier, sommeliers are not Googling stuff and then just regurgitating it to you. Like, so it's all about, so when I worked at the distillery and we had our tastings at the end of the tour, one thing I never did, and I never do with cigars, in fact, we didn't even do it here until after you started smoking it, is when they did their tastings of their spirit, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you what's on the brochure. I want you to taste it and I want you to start, we're going to have a conversation about what you think it is. Okay. And I can guide them a little bit from a verbiage standpoint. They're trying to describe something. I'm like, well, maybe it's kind of like, okay, yeah. But even still, if you tell somebody what the brochure says right off the rip, your brain, you're going to be predisposed. I don't care what anybody says. Sympathetically, you're going to be predisposed to be, oh yeah, I'm totally getting cherry off that after I tell you there's cherry in it.
Yeah.
Or before you drink, oh, I can see where you're getting that. Like, no, you don't. Maybe you do. But if we discover it together and the sommelier can guide you through that discovery, that's kind of thing where the rubber meets the road on that note. Is taste personal? 100%. And if there's any sommelier out there that is sitting there telling you what you're supposed to be tasting, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, can we educatedly regurgitate the brochure? 100% we can. And then we can go like, okay, well, if you're around that, I can help you with that. So for me, it's about, I can 100% take your experience from where you personally have decided to cap it out from whatever your time you want to spend researching any one thing, and I'm going to take you past that. So that's why I say it's fact. But I thought it was very interesting because it just happened to come up. Zach and I were talking about it, and a couple weeks later I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get into this one, because everyone's like, oh, the flavor wheel. Like, okay, time out. The flavor wheel is like, again, it's like the Pirate's Code. It's just for guidance. It's kind of sort of simply to put things in a category that can be digested from a beginner, but and give a little understanding of where some of these things are coming from and what your environment, again, because again, we are smoking a 100% organic thing that came from the earth. So that's why regions where it's grown, the plant is grown, matter. Mineral content of the water matters. Sunlight matters, because that is why your fermentation matters. Aging matters, because that's how you're going to get what we're tasting right now. All the stuff we've been talking about when we first lit up is based on the decisions that were made all through that process back to by the time it ever gets to the roller. Yeah. So
it's tough though, because I think my big point, tell me if you agree or not. I would say, and I don't have a number, but I should probably look it up, but I think the vast majority of people that smoke cigars around the world don't care. They don't care. They don't want to do homework. They don't want to keep a journal. At most, they might like take their bands and put it in their pocket, take them home and put them in a drawer. But yeah, it's great for the industry. If you're like, you like Nicaraguan, you like spice and earth, I can point you towards these Nicaraguans from these regions. The industry needs that 100%. But that doesn't mean anything when I cut it, light it, and stick it in my mouth.
Absolutely.
Like, it ends there. Your knowledge ends there. You picked one out for me. I smoke it. I either like it or I don't.
That's why I said I think it's all about the environment and are you enjoying it? Are you sitting down relaxing?
So one final counter question to that. If again, I'm just throwing your own words back at you that you concurred with.
Yeah.
If we're gonna cut it, light it, and at that point we're not worried about it, okay? Then why are you worried about what you're pairing your cigar with?
Ooh.
Because if you don't care, you're just gonna drink it, grab it, smoke it, which, to be fair, We're all guilty of it. Just because I got a certificate that says I did a certain curriculum, you know, and I have to know certain things to pass the certain test. Okay. Make no mistake. If I honestly went to my bar 3 times a day and tried to make a pairing, and it's no fun. It's lost all of its
Yeah.
I'm over it.
I got an answer for you. Why am I worried about the spirit I pair with the cigar I want to smoke? It's because it's a decision dictated by my tongue and my memory. There's zero external factor. I don't have to tell you what I like for you to unravel that, make a decision, pick 5. You compare this with that, this with that, this with that. What do you want? Are you feeling bourbon? Are you feeling rye? Because you're now making a biased choice in giving me options back. That's an external factor dictating what my tongue is going to experience versus if that thought never leaves my body, it's purely based off of my experiences.
Respectfully, I don't agree with biased. A recommendation is not a bias. It's actually the knowledge for me. It's my knowledge of not only the mash bill, because again, it's organic, like how it was grown, type of corn, barley, fermentation process, barrel aging, how long did it sit in there out of place with the wood. Though that is no different than a blend of a cigar. Okay. So bias would be for me interpreted or translated. Oh, dude, Heaven Hill Ball and Bond. That's the only way to go. You only drink that with, and that's it, man. That's the bee's knees. That's bias. Now I'm influencing you to do a certain thing. I would offer counterpoint to what you said though about your mouth and your heart and your brain. So,
well, I think you're confusing bias and persuasion. Because bias is
influence.
You made the pairing, you tried it, you understood it worked well and why it worked well. Then you recommended that for other people. They try it and they go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. So every time you ever say that, it's now biased because you have biased feedback.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But so that's the experience part. Let's face it, experience and salesmanship,
You got to be a salesman.
They're very closely related.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, if we're at the wedding reception or we're doing a specific event at the golf place or whatever, that's the point.
There's 100% times and places and events where you take all of the guesswork out of it. You go, I only got 5 bottles and I got 10 different cigars. These work well together. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, and because
you don't have time to let people make
100%.
decisions or teach them. Nah.
I would just offer back to your point of, like, again, we're talking about, do you care or not care? Okay, no, you didn't care enough to do a specific pairing. I would offer, though, that you cannot 100% eliminate any type of care when you're picking your spirit and your cigar, whether you're trying to pair it or not. That's the emotional space that we were talking about. I want what I want to drink, and I want what I want to smoke. Do they play well together? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe I got lucky tonight. But did I go in and be like, all right, mash bill, 90, 106 proof. Okay, I need a little stronger cigar. All right, I'm going this one because a lot of spice here. Okay, those are going to work together. That's the difference. That's caring. But
well, and that's what we talk about too, right? There is complementary and there is contrast.
Yeah.
So sometimes something you're like, ain't no way this is going to work.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't because it contrasts. Yeah. But it's still enjoyable.
And we're still pairing it together because of the contrast.
Yep.
See, so again, I thought it was funny. I knew it was going to spark, and I waited until you came down here to have a third person on this because I'm like, all right, here we go. Now we can crank this up.
It was great, but you're right. I think the average person doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I think they just want to elevate and they want that experience. They want to be like, hey.
Great word. Great word.
Elevate,
yeah, great word.
I want to try this. I think it goes well. At the end of the day, I really enjoy it, and I want to share that with somebody else.
Yep.
And if they like it, they like it. They don't, they don't. But it's something that it's a new experience.
100%.
Not to mention, I think so many people just use spirits as a social lubricant. It's not even about the liquor and the cigar. It's that they're in a public space and they're not comfortable, or they need a shot or a cocktail to kind of open up their little butterfly wings so they
Yep.
can be a little social butterfly. So I 100% understand why some people drink and, like, I'll get flamed for this, but just drink Tito's with a cigar. It's a pretty neutral spirit. It's a social lubricant. It gives them something to do with their other hand, and they're not the one guy sitting in a crowd of a dozen people that's sipping on water.
Is my face doing something right now?
No.
When you said Tito's and a cigar? Because my
No, you
mind was
just went
definitely
blank.
my mind was definitely doing something when
Yeah.
you said that. Like,
I said, I'm gonna get flamed by you.
Yeah. Did the top of my hat start burning? Like, what the? But you know what though? That's, full transparency, bro. I've said this to you before. In fact, I'm trying to remember where the heck we were, because you and I were together, and I'm trying to remember what we were doing. It might have been at the lounge, but I specifically made the point. I was like, you know what? I would drink gin with this cigar. I just can't remember what it was.
Oh,
Anyway,
it might have been the Candela.
that's right.
It was the
It
Candela.
was.
Because it was so hay forward, like
Yeah,
barnyard,
super
real light, but it had so many
grainy,
layers.
earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a very complex, light, airy cigar.
Yeah.
So many layers packed in there that adding gin, it wouldn't sit on top and it wouldn't sit below. It would kind of fit in the fold. Yeah.
And
was
it would
Candela.
not really go against the faux pas socially of clear spirits with cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would totally work.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to do that at some point. We're going to figure it out, but
Oh, 100%.
and report back to the
Yeah.
to the masses. But yeah. But anyway, on that note, Tony, bro, super, super grateful you came down and spent time with us today, man. This was a good time. I was super excited about this, man.
Yeah, I couldn't wait. You've been telling me you guys have been killing it on the podcast. I love everything that you guys are doing. If you haven't watched any more of their episodes, go ahead, definitely watch it. It's just, I don't know, it's you guys have made a space where you are reaching out to people that haven't experienced something, that want to get into the industry. Go talk to your neighboring people, go to your brick and mortars, go show support, and have a conversation, man. We do this because we love this.
Yep.
We have these conversations because it's it's all because of fucking Cigar.
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate the support on that. So again, Anthony Williams at Tony Drawco on Instagram. Go check him out. A lot of the stuff we talked about today, you will see it on his Instagram page. For us, at The Smoking Standard on Instagram, The Smoking Standard on YouTube, at The Smoking Standard Zach, also at The Smoking Standard Steve, because The Smoking Standard feeds into that. But we thank you all for watching. We thank Tony for coming down and spending time with us today. We hope you guys got something out of this, because we really enjoyed doing this episode. So we'll see you again on the next The Smoking Standard.